Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of Rendezvous with Anza Saqib on CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C-levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy with our League of Extraordinary Thought Leaders. Today as well, we've got a very special guest with us, and he's someone that's extremely accomplished. His name is Mr. Fouzan Kazim, and he's the head of corporate solutions and implementing digital banking group at Bank Alfalah Limited. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Anza. Happy to be here.
So let's hear a little about your experiences, your professional journey so far. Where did it begin and how did you end up here?
Okay, so I am actually from a completely science background kind of a guy. So started off with completely pre-engineering, pre-medicine sort of a thing. And then moved to LUMS to do my bachelor's, a complete switch. That is where I've actually found my inspiration to digital and to banking. And then I started off with Stanchart back in 2009, did quite a bit of sales, product implementations, digital networking, a lot of different things, and then moved into the digital space. I've been with Easy Pesa, Telenor, Microfinance Bank for about 3 years, and now with Bank Alfalah. So quite a bit of roller coaster ride as far as my career has been. So that's how it is.
Right. So what exactly does your role as the head corporate solutions and implementation digital banking group at Bank Alfalah Limited entail on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, we at Bank Alfalah Digital basically give thought leadership to corporates and SME. And we try to bring around products and focus on how to digitize solutions. So be it a payment solution, be it a collection solution, be it any other thing pertaining to any relevant channels that we offer, things like ATMs, CDMs, agent networks. So whatever that we offer as a bank holistically, we try to focus that for corporates in a digitized manner. So the core and the basic focus is to enhance the knowledge and to ensure that every client in the market can actually have that chance to digitize their collections and payment solutions and the working capital cycles. So that's what a day-to-day work is.
Right. Now, you also have 12 years plus of versatile cross-segment experience. What, in your opinion, are the 3 most important factors to optimize the customer onboarding and experience?
Okay, so yes, indeed, 12 years, more than 12 years of experience. But I think the most important factor that I perceive for onboarding a customer is, I think, empathy and truthfulness to the customer himself. So being customer-centric is one of the most, at least for me, it's the topmost reason for one to actually start off with an onboarding process. That is where you build the relationship. That is where you build the repertoire with that customer, and that is where the customer starts believing in you. Number 2 is obviously efficiency and ensuring that everybody's kept in the loop for an onboarding process, be it an external stakeholder, be it an internal stakeholder. It's always good to be on your toes with respect to making everybody know exactly what's going on. And number 3 is obviously the implementation of the product itself. So as long as your product is strong, I don't think there's going to be any issue with respect to onboarding a client. In fact, it's actually working on a pull factor rather than a push factor. So the top 3 reasons from my side.
Right. Now, it is often said now that the future of banking is digital. Critically analyze this statement in the context of Pakistan. Will physical branches become obsolete in the future?
In my opinion, it's not just the banking, it's the world which needs to go digital and really quickly at that also. You've seen post the COVID-19 era that things have grown exponentially as far as digitization is concerned, be it the banking industry or any other industry for that matter. Will branches be obsolete? in my opinion, and I'm hoping so that there will be. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, I don't foresee that happening in the near future. But given the fact that people still hold money with them in the physical form, and they're much more apt to the fact that it's better to use a physical form of money than to use a digital aspect of money. So it's going to take its sweet time going away. But eventually it will, and it should, given how things are at this point in time. Especially with so many digital firms setting up, with so much being done around digital banking, even state banks stepping into the whole realm of digital banking licenses now, with a lot of foreign investment coming in, a lot of fintechs investing there, a lot of capital investment firms eyeing out startups in Pakistan. So, in my opinion, digital cash is the way to go about in the future, but being completely obsolete as far as the branches are concerned, not so much right now. It'll take its sweet time getting there.
Agreed. So with cash-rich economies like Pakistan, we have seen that there is a heavy reliance on the use of physical branches. And I agree with what you said. However, one of the advantages with going digital is also a fair deal of transparency, and perhaps also, cost saving, efficiency as well. What would be your narrative to encourage more and more people to, and more corporates to go digital when it comes to their banking solutions?
It's as basic as knowing exactly what is what at any given point in time. So for me to maintain a book or a khata at any given point with all the relevant narratives or all the transactions written either by hand or even a standalone computer, it doesn't make sense anymore, given the fact everything's so interconnected now. So anything to do with corporate functioning in this day and age, in this era, competing against other corporates or other SMEs, this definitely has to go digital. This has to become into something interconnected so that at any given point in time, everything is real time for that company or for those people at that point in time. So for us, it's now a no-brainer. I think even from disseminating information, if I see myself 5 years from now, I think we don't even have to think about giving an information or a download on what digital is. So I think kudos to the world to go move digital this way.
Right. Very pertinent points made, sir. Now, what are some of your policy recommendations for the government? What should the public sector be doing to facilitate the banks in particular?
It's I think, very difficult question to answer at this point in time, especially with so much going on in our part of the country. But as far as the recommendation go, I think the government till now, be it the government which was and be it the government which is, in both cases, I think everybody's doing their best right now to bring down the dollar rate. Of course, that's the biggest impediment for us. Working, controlling the interest rate, that's the second. But given the turmoils right now, globally also with respect to increasing fuel prices and everything, I think everybody is doing the best right now to control these things. But in my opinion, I think one of the major policy change would be to support digital as much as possible,
Through tax incentives,
in
tax
the
holidays.
wake of people not being so much money in itself. So biggest cost save when it comes to all of these things is the actual in the economy, right? So you control that. I think you're bringing down the cost at least by 60%.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Now, you've given some great advice for the government, but let's talk a little about your own personal experiences and what you've learned so far. What would your advice be to the mid-career professionals of today?
I think the single most important advice to any person who wants to have a good career is to just get it done. So it's as simple as that. Just get it there. Just get your hands dirty. Unless you don't do that, you're never going to learn to basically grow in your career. I do not consider myself as an expert in it, but in all honesty, I think that's the only motto that I've actually ever lived with. Even if you don't know it, just don't shy away from getting into it and learning. Maybe it's going to bog you down a couple of times, but you'll get that.
Right. Now, let's talk a little more specific. We all know that one must continue to learn in order to excel. So what are the most sought after skills or certifications specific to your sector for the current year?
Okay, so I think as far as my role is concerned, or as far as the product role is concerned, I think um, project management is one of the most sought after skill. That's one aspect. So a lot of youngsters do ask what needs to be taken care of as far as um, certifications or degrees is concerned. So PMP is one thing that I do recommend people. Then on the second hand, I personally believe you need to know data science. So that's one thing that I have at least in the past 2-3 years realized that without data science, I think project management and product management is now it's kind of becoming mutually exclusive now that way. So one cannot technically live without the other anymore. So now it's the time to actually start learning data science, start handling big data, try to learn business intelligence tools, the likes of
Mm-hmm.
and all. So that's another advice that I generally give. Thirdly, I think for any person to run a product role, one needs to be very well aware of what's happening on ground. So I think general knowledge around what is and what's not, and how people think, including psychology for that matter, on how things are in Pakistan. I think that's one of the biggest I would say skill if you actually acquire that. If you can actually connect with people on ground, that's how you actually get to learn what needs to go out. So I think my top three would be these things.
Definitely, because one thing that we all know for sure is that even in terms of products in the banking sector, I'm sure the requirements are very different from, let's say, baby boomers to millennials to Gen Z. So, there are a lot of changes coming, and I'm
Gen
sure
Zs and
they're developing different products with different niches in mind. So, now let's move a little bit more into your personal life. So how do you unwind? Because we know that people who are working in banking sector, as product heads, they're usually very, very occupied with their work 24/7. So how do you spend your free time, if at all?
I think there are 2 or 3 different things that I generally do to unwind. One is just to put my cell phone aside for an hour and not do anything. I think that's the biggest way I unwind. Secondly, I think golf helps. Definitely, it gets you thrashing some anger out. That's another. Family time, obviously, that's another thing that helps you calm your nerves and try to get some stress off also. So I think in this sort of fast-paced life and with so many things happening on a daily basis, I think one doesn't get time, at least not me during the weekdays. So it's usually the weekends which you can actually utilize to get things done, even household stuff done. So I think it's how you take out time for yourself that matters. I know people who make sure that they have a set pattern for going to gym or exercising or but it all depends on what kind of role you're actually into. With products, I think it gets a little difficult sometimes with a little bit of erratic sort of a work schedule. But I think golf and tuning yourself out is the best way for me.
Right. And what inspires you to show up to work daily?
I think the crux of it all is to have that motive to actually improve something for Pakistan. At least for me, it's more of a nationalistic approach. So I've seen this industry evolve from almost nothing now to mashallah, and touch wood for to a stage where you don't have to put an effort to disseminate banking information, right? So for me, it's my major motive is how do I improve this for normal people, for the masses in Pakistan. So that's my goal in life. So that's something that wakes me up in the morning. That's what gets me to work. That's what drives me as a person also. So that's my goal.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It's been an honor and a privilege. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for today's session, but before we sign off, I would like to ask you, what do you think is the utility of forums like CxO Global?
I think, in all honesty, there should be more of them. I've not heard of anything else at this point in time except for CxO, and I'm glad to be part of it. So I think the biggest utility is networking. Of course, there's no alternative to networking. You need to get to know people of your own industry, of different industries, how to collaborate, how to get into situations where one can actually learn from others. I think these forums are a great way to go about it. And thank you so much for CxO to actually arrange all of these things so that we can also learn of people who are masters and experts in their own field, relevant fields. It's always great to actually have that perspective also.
Thank you very much, and please keep contributing to the knowledge economy.
It would be my pleasure, actually.
Ladies and gentlemen, that will be all for today. Stay tuned for next time, and please keep us updated with your comments and feedback. That's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.